Hi, I'm Al Forster with AVF Consulting LLC. My website is avfconsults.com. I'm doing this presentation to explain why I prefer Apple computing environments. I've been developing computer programs and using computers from the late 60s when I used IBM punch cards through the 70s when the teletypes and tape inputs were the sign of the times, to TRS-80s in the late 70s, early 80s, and then Apple and IBM PC computers in the mid 80s to through the 2000s. If we look at the high level of integration of products in the Mac environment, the Apple environment is designed to integrate very easily among Mac personal computers, iPhones, iPads, and Apple TV. It's an extremely stable operating environment. I talked to many heavy users of IBM or of Microsoft Windows environments, and about every 4 to 6 months, those that really need high performance from their computers reinstall their operating system. This takes 4 to 6 hours to do, but they feel it's imperative to do it because of the way Windows environments simply slow down over prolonged period of use situations. I also like the ability to run applications that are too complex to run on an iPhone or iPad on a Mac, and then send PDF result files back to the iPhone or iPad for review. This flexibility to run apps from an iPhone or iPad can be applied very simply and in a straightforward fashion on a Mac using the folder action setup selection, two Apple programming languages called Automator and AppleScript, and a Dropbox function called Move File. All these capabilities, all these products integrate very well into the Apple product line. So let's just take a look at some of the smooth features that I like to look at. One of them is the ability to have your face on the screen while you're doing a presentation. I think this is a powerful tool and is available to users. If I want to demonstrate something on my iPhone or iPad, I simply select it, and you can see that I can display my iPhone screen on my computer screen very easily while I'm doing a video presentation. If I want to say, ask Siri to, for example, show me my email, I can say, "Hey Siri." "Hey Siri, show me my email."
You have at least 25 emails since yesterday. Here are the latest 3. Shall I read them to you?
So I can go right ahead and read a particular email if I wish to. I'm going to drop the AirPlay, which is what this is called, that displays your iPhone or iPad on a computer screen, and I'm going to drop that particular function. The next item I want to demonstrate is, it's fairly hard to see this arrow, the mouse arrow. So I'm going to go to System Preferences and go to Accessibility and just increase my cursor size so you can see it easier. All of these elements are provided in a very straightforward fashion by going to the Apple menu and selecting System Preferences. The first row of information is general setup for your screensaver and for security and for notification purposes. The second row is associated with all the input-output devices on your computer. For example, control over the display. Right now, I'm using a 720p HDMI display. However, I could go up to 1080 as the default display type, and you would see more of the screen. I can also control keyboard, mouse, trackpad, printer, and sound output and input to and from the computer. All the network features are controllable here, and parental guidance and setting up new users on a particular computer are provided in the next row, and then finally some additional elements that allow me to control things, like I can set up using a program called iBees to restart my computer at a certain time, to sleep, wake up, or open particular files that I wish to open or close. And of course there's also Java, which I can control the updating and setup and security of. So what's next? The dock that's along this one side allows me to choose from a number of programs. For those that want to do backups, there's a program called SuperDuper, or there's a program called Time Machine that allows me to back up at any time, or it will back up automatically for me to disk drives that I might have attached to this computer. If I want to open a series of folders, I can select all of them and double click, and they will all show up on screen. If I want to see any one folder that might be hidden, I just move over to the upper right hand corner and I can pick among any of the windows, and then that becomes the front window. Or I can hold the Option key down and click close one, and all of them will be closed. The 1080p that I talked about, this is kind of a view of that 1080p, and if we enter full screen, you'll see what it looks like if we were in 1080p mode rather than this 760 or 780 environment. And if I want to minimize that and quit preview, we're back to this view. So one of the items that I talked about was being able to control an application from any of your other devices, like your iPhone or iPad. This is a application I called Email Docs, EM Docs, and if I double click on it, I can stop its automatic function by clicking on Auto Toggle in the first 2 seconds, and you can just see what it looks like. Basically, it's just going to output some PDF files that it will email to me if I need them. You could do anything within this environment, either Excel spreadsheets, or in this case I'm using an OpenOffice Calc spreadsheet. I can clear this color coding, but we could do any other type of calculation we might want to do within a spreadsheet. So if I double click here, it'll put back those color bars. This is RGB color associated with this particular product. So say I turn Auto Toggle on and I want to see what's going to happen here. I'm going to quit OpenOffice and save. I'm then going to run this again, And what you'll see is that this application runs. It takes PDF images of the product and then it ships them off in an email. And if I go to my email messages, I'll see that this is the email that was sent to me. Now that doesn't seem like much, except that it was totally automated. I didn't have to do anything. The Open Office was allowed to open the program, run it, and then it automatically closed it after it was completed emailing me this particular file. But let's say I delete this email message and I minimize mail. And let's say now that I want to run this same email doc. I'm going to run it by using what's called a folder setup. This is called folder action setup. And what it's going to do is when I put a file in the GS Mini directory that's located right here, if you're looking at this environment right now. So there's GS Mini. And if I look at this particular workflow, which is an Automator workflow, I see that it's only 3 commands. One command says when the folder action is generated, when a file or folder is added to GS Mini, that file name will be passed through this environment. So it'll pause for 2 seconds, then it will move the Finder items back to the A Mini folder. So I would move it from EMDoc to GS Mini. It will then open the default application and run that document. And since I have it fully automated, email documents, it will then put the alias, it'll move the alias back from GS Mini back to A Mini. So let's see how that works when I bring up so I'm going to close this. I'm going to close Automator. And I'm going to see how this works, but I'm going to do it from excuse me, I'm going to do it from Apple Play. So here we are. I'm going to select Dropbox. I'm going to choose the EM document, and I'm going to select Move, and I'm going to say Move into the GS Mini folder. And I'm going to hit the Move down at the bottom, and you can see it gets moved. It then opens that application. It creates an email, creates the PDF files, creates an email. Notice the date at 5:34 on the 14th of January, and it sends it off. Now if I now go to my mail, I see that that document has arrived again. And if I look at and zoom in on this document here, you see there's the 1/14/2016, 5:34 p.m., basically proving that this document was just run remotely from my iPhone, but the actual device that was running the application was on my Mac Mini. So you get the idea of the power associated with this particular approach. I don't know if I can show you too much more. This is the dock along this side here, and I can have more advanced features, like I can look at the amount of processing power that's being used. 89% of the computer is idle. This is an i7 processor on a Mac Mini, so it's about the size of, and I'll show you this in a second. I'm going to drop that from the screen. I'm going to bring up an application called Photo Booth that allows me to talk to you on screen and show you a little device here. Basically, the iMac is not much larger than this particular photo album, and basically has an extreme amount of horsepower associated with it. It uses a 1.2 terabyte Fusion drive, which includes a 256 gigabyte SSD drive and a 1 terabyte hard drive. What else can I tell you about this? Let's take a look at a couple of other applications. We can show the performance of the computer. We can have a console that gives us an idea of all the commands that have been run over the last few minutes. And a series of other applications that Adobe Reader and OpenOffice and a text editor and a grabber for grabbing images like this 1080p image I grabbed of the screen. I run iTunes that allows me, I've taken my entire DVD library and I've digitized it so I can view any of these on either this Mac Mini computer or on my iPad or iPhone or on an Apple TV that can link to this computer as one of the selections. This Apple TV right here allows me to view these movies on a 42-inch television. So that's, and the other thing I might point out is that I've been using the OS X operating system of the Mac since Steve Jobs developed it in the early 2000s, and I continue to upgrade each time, so I'm always running the latest version of the operating system. I've never had to reinstall the entire operating system. I just do the incremental updates that Apple suggests, and I get performance that lasts for years. So I don't have this issue that many other high-powered Windows users have, that they have to reinstall their entire operating system every 4 to 6 months to keep the performance of their computer up to par. I use the Microsoft Office environment, which works just fine, and the program that I use to display the iPhone or iPad is called Reflector 2. Reflector 2 is a Reflector 2 is a product by airsquirrels.com and allows you to do that kind of AirPlay display on screen. So that's all I have. Have a great day.